You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 784 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. The Dressage Radio Show is the official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation. On today's show, Megan and I talk about the USDF Convention and our special book club edition, packed with education, insight, meaningful conversation from across the dressage community. We catch up with USDF President Kevin Reinig, who shares updates on the convention and offers a look ahead of what's coming up for USDF in 2026 and beyond, including key incentives and future direction of the organization. To wrap up the episode, we sit down with Dr. Jane Manfredi for an important conversation on her talk about endocrine disease and the equine athlete at the USDF Convention. Dr. Manfredi breaks down how hormone health impacts performance, longevity, and overall well-being, offering valuable insights for horses, riders, trainers, and owners alike. This episode brings together education, leadership, and horse health from the heart of the USDF Convention.
Welcome to the Dressage Radio Show.
This is Reese Stanfield in Georgetown, Kentucky.
And I am Megan McIsaac from Oregon, Wisconsin, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Did you survive convention?
I am also great. Yes, because you were here, everybody. Megan came and joined me. She stayed in our little house. We had so much fun. And you were here for 2 nights. And what did you think? That was your first convention, right?
No, I've been to like 20 of them.
Oh,
but
sorry.
No, that's okay. It was like 10 years ago.
Well, last year for book club too.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. It was my second year with book club. And I have to say, it was awesome. Beth Baumert's book was really great. It was fun to meet Beth. And I wasn't nervous.
Yay! I know. Well, after we've done all the things, we're pretty ready to rumble, and it was so fun. But that's the fun part about being in person, and when we get to talk to the authors. And convention is really cool. I mean, I'm very lucky, obviously, that it's in town. But all horse people understand that sometimes being in town is actually harder than when you're out of town. You're like, well, I can't worry about the dog and night check and all the things. It's taken care of. But but it was so much fun. And Megan, you and I, should we tell our secret?
I think we should. Yeah,
yes.
Why not?
So Megan and I, we didn't really, other than cheering we had friends that were getting medals, but we decided to go see Andrea Bocelli on Saturday night instead of we didn't go to the awards banquet. We cheered with everybody who was getting awards that we saw, but that was really special. Like, I will always remember that concert.
I have to say it was one of my top.
Yes.
There were people weeping.
The girl behind us. I was like, is she okay?
Yeah. And it was just
weeping.
So much fun to spend time with you because I have known you for like 25 years.
Yes.
And every time we spend time together, it has always been a horse event, which is convention. And we're obsessed with horses. But I think it's like important for horse people to do other things. And it was just such a beautiful night, beautiful friendship, and I just can't thank you enough. So,
oh my gosh, no, I mean, truly, everybody knows when Megan was a good friend of ours, and Philip and I, and that was when Megan came on, it was so special because I needed your support, but to be able to it just deepens our friendship. Like we really, to put on the show, like we're so lucky because we get to talk to so many cool people and do so many cool things, but we become even closer because we talk all the time. Like, we're constantly having a running conversation. So it was so fun just to take our friendship out. And I agree. I think it's so important to get out. And I have to be honest, my grandma loved Bocelli. So I had heard him as a kiddo. So it meant so much to me with my grandma. And then I remember I was laughing. I remember I took a music appreciation class.
No way.
in high school. Yeah. And I remember being literally one of my favorite classes ever. And I was sitting in the concert, and you just had to appreciate it. It was just incredible. So that was so fun. I think it was a really special night for us.
It was for me. And if anyone gets an opportunity, go see him live. It's like watching top Olympic riders. I mean,
Yes.
just so beautiful. I almost wanted to weep myself. It was just beautiful. So go do it. Go do other
It was
things.
incredible. It was so cool. It was so cool. Well, on that note, I mean, it was so holiday. I mean, it was actually quite cold in Lexington. It was cold everywhere. And everybody, I feel you. It was -1 here. I texted Megan. I was like, I'm not built for this. This is not working for me.
And you leave tomorrow, right?
I do. I am heading south to Wellington. So I'm really looking forward to. So we'll have a sunny Christmas this year. We decided we were going to do that, which is great. And I get to kind of also be there. My husband will join me, and we'll get the horses settled. And I am kind of looking forward to, it's been a really busy fall. And so I'm looking forward to just a little downtime in the sunshine, taking our dog to the beach. He loves that so much. Which is cool. So how about you guys? What do you guys do?
What do we do? We still have
barn chores.
I know. I was like, well, I'm gonna pack for California. I've started, like, it usually takes me a month.
Oh yeah.
But it's all the last odds and ends, and then we do our own chores. Avi and I, my fiance, will do chores and hang out with the horses, and then we'll spend time with Mumsy. And we go over to very, very close friends of ours for dinner. And it'll just be nice not to see people. That sounds so horrible, but I just...
See, your family.
I just need to recharge my energy. We don't have a lot of family, so it'll just be really quiet. And then we head out for California, and I'm so ready.
Yeah, I think you and I are ready for some training this winter. I feel the same. Like, I'm just ready to kind of, I mean, I'm excited to see. I'm already getting texts from my Florida people like, when are you coming? Can we have a lesson this week? Which I love. You know, it's similar, but a lot of them are year round, but they've been in Florida for a month or two, so they're ready for some learning. And I have one of my Lauren White. Shout out to Lauren. She's one of my barn daughters. She's going to drive with me and help me get down there and get the horses settled. And Carly Ward will give my assistant a shout out. That's the thing. When you do go, it is a whole team effort, and you really have a good team. And I have a great team this year, and I'm so thankful for that, and which is really cool. So I am really looking forward to it. But we wanted to talk a little bit about virtual lessons, because Megan and I teach them. We're available to teach virtual lessons. But there was a great article in the convention in Connections that we wanted to talk about virtual lessons, because that has been a godsend for my students that are in Kentucky. It's kind of like, actually, I teach my Florida students in the summer, and I teach them at like 6:30 a.m. So I usually pop my head out at 8:15, and I've already gotten 2 lessons in or whatever.
Wow.
Which is so cool. But you also teach a lot virtually, don't you?
I do. And well, more so when I go to California, because I still teach my clients here in Wisconsin. It's really fun to tell people when I'm in California, I'm teaching in Wisconsin, and they're like, wait a minute, how are you going to do that?
Yeah. So tell us some tips on how you guys set up your system.
So in my arena, you have to have Wi-Fi. So we have, that was a little difficult. But I have an AV guy, and he installed, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm just going to say it's like a remote thing, and brought Wi-Fi into the arena. And then I have a Google security camera that stays there year round at the letter C. And so then that's also how I get lessons throughout the year from my coach once a week. And so I just call my students, and they have a Bluetooth headset, and I highly recommend not the one that you stick in your ear. Well, you stick it in your ear and you put it around your ear, not what are those little earbuds? They fall out. Yes. And so I can see you and I recommend, the first year I did it off my cell phone. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's hard. You'll go blind. So, Get an iPad. The iPad can also actually, you can put it on your TV so you're not going to go blind.
Love
And
it.
I can see my arena. The hardest thing, though, I find, Reese, is depth perception. So
Yes.
I find like it's important to know the student
Yeah.
and your arena if you can. Sometimes you can't,
Yeah. Sometimes you
but
can't.
and it's a short term, mine's only 3 months, so I
Yeah.
know what to look for, but like, are they really doing good circles or corners? I don't really know.
Yeah. And
Your
I find it
thoughts?
too, like I can't pick up the cues on the horse. So if the horse is breathing hard, or I can hear the students, so I know if they're breathing hard. And but I do tell people, like, please let me know if you need a break, like, because I can't pick up on those cues through the phone or through my computer.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Like, tack check. That's
Yep.
a hard one.
That's a hard one.
Luckily for me, I do have assistant instructors, the large majority that I'm teaching. So that way they are on the ground and they can see, because another thing is safety. So if you're
Yes.
teaching someone and they're alone, I'm
Yes.
not there. I think that's the biggest downfall in teaching virtual, that
Yes.
you want to make sure like you have their emergency contact information, so that way if they truly are alone, but generally at my farm no one's ever alone, um that you can catch that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and I think if you are alone, you need to have that this actually happened to a friend of mine. Her
uh,
student got bucked off.
oh no.
Right, and thank God she had her husband's number in the house so she could get someone there, but I do require someone to give a contact information.
Yeah, so
So I
smart.
think that's important. Yeah, because or someone that's close that can help that person. I think that's really, really important. I also find, and I don't know about, I find if someone's wearing black gloves and a black jacket and black pants, it's very hard to see anything that's going on with their hands. Have you
Yep.
found that one?
Oh yeah, it's way easier if they're wearing white gloves. I
Yes.
highly recommend that.
And a light colored pant,
Yes.
which sounds funny, but like that helps us see you, which is important. I do it the same thing with my coach. Sometimes he's like, "Hey, put on some white gloves so I see what your hands are doing." And I was
But
like, "Fair."
I have to say it really has saved my business and my life, because I have to go to California just for it's for my education, as
Yep.
well as like I can mentally get away from my farm. However, if I did that 20 years ago, I would lose a lot of income. So I'm
Yeah.
very grateful to be able to teach virtual lessons. I'm also really grateful to my students, that they're open to learning virtually. I highly
Yep.
recommend, because I did it before COVID. And now, because of COVID, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I want a virtual lesson. But I did it before, and a lot of my students weren't interested. And I totally
Hmm.
understand it. And
Yeah.
I was really surprised how many people progress. Like, people can progress on the virtual lessons. So give it a chance.
Right. Give it a chance. And both you and I take lessons in the summer from our coaches. So
Yes.
we use the service too. And I
Mm-hmm.
have found that it's great because,
Mm-hmm.
same thing, like, and the way I do it, Megan, in my ring, actually, I don't, I do a little more low techy. I like FaceTime. It seems to work
Okay.
really well in my ring. Now you
Cool.
have to have a second person.
Yep.
So, I'm lucky because I do have an assistant that's
Yep.
typically on site all the time. So, and that was for me, the technology aspect. As we all know, I'm not great with technology.
Yep.
So, I think it's really important to have someone there to help with that. Especially if you're angsty about it, just
Yep.
get a second person, have a friend, have a kid, have somebody, that's there to help with that. And that has helped a lot. So if there is issues, they can kind of work through them, which has been very helpful. So I do Pivo, FaceTime, some Pixum, not as many Pixums,
Mm.
but I can do them as well. So yes, we believe very much in the system because we do it with our own coaches. And that was the thing. Like for the longest time, I would be in Florida with Scott Hassler, who's been my coach forever. I'd see him, and then I wouldn't see him for months after. which was really tough. And so now it's great. He can pop
Mm-hmm.
in. We're, ready for the horse show, whatever, he can come in, and it's been really helpful. So we believe in it. If we can help you guys, feel free to reach out in any way. I think a lot of coaches are doing this now. You get better and better too as you do it. But it's been great. I teach some people in some remote locations. Like there are no dressage coaches. And that's been really helpful. So feel free to reach out to us. We would love that.
And we're going to have this break from Kentucky Performance Products. And again, this is an amazing company. I work very closely with them and Delia and her whole team. And I'm so thankful for them because, again, their products are phenomenal and make our horses look amazing. So thank you for their support to the show as well.
Does your performance horse have sore, stiff muscles? Does he lack energy or tire quickly during exercise? Does his competition schedule require travel? Studies show that horses in regular training and those with limited access to pasture often require additional vitamin E. They also show that horses being trailered even short distances can face immunity challenges. Elevate Natural Vitamin E can help. A research-proven, powerful antioxidant, Elevate maintains healthy muscle, nerve, and immune functions. It does this by delivering a highly bioavailable source of natural vitamin E that is preferentially absorbed and retained in a horse's tissues. For more information, visit kppusa.com or call 859-873-2974.
Well, at convention, Megan and I had the real honor and privilege to meet Dr. Jane Manfredi. She is the Marianne McPhail Dressage Chair of Equine Sports Medicine. Welcome to the show, Jane. We're so happy to have you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Well, first of all, Marianne McPhail was a personal friend of mine also. And so I really want to dedicate this to her. She was a wonderful human being. And it's so fun that her legacy lives on through you, my friend. So thank you so much.
Yes, I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm so grateful to Marianne for everything that she has done for the dressage community over the span of her lifetime. She's owner, rider, judge, all of the things in support of dressage, including endowing the chair at Michigan State University that I now hold, that was originally held by Dr. Hillary Clayton, which is really dedicated to performing research important to the welfare of the dressage horse and rider. And just the impact that has had so far is really big shoes for me to follow in. Well, for sure.
My friend, I think you're already filling these shoes in an amazing way. And so tell us a little bit more about yourself. We were chatting off air. I'm like, wow, lady, you have a lot of awesome letters behind your name. So tell us more about what those all are.
Sure. So I grew up horses because my mom was a horseback riding trainer and she liked dressage, and so she kind of roped me into that whole world. And pretty early on, I got involved with Pony Club and realized that I really loved the veterinary medicine parts of Pony Club. So I figured out early on that I wanted to go to vet school. So that's kind of where the DVM comes into play. So when I went into vet school, I thought, oh, surely I'm going to go out and be an equine practitioner in the field. And, that was kind of my goal, to be a sports medicine veterinarian. And during my time in vet school, I was looking for summer jobs. And so the first summer of vet school, I was like, what can I do? And I was on the, internet at the time, and I saw that Michigan State had a summer research program and that Hillary Clayton was looking for students to do research with her over the summer. And so I was able to come to Michigan State and did research with Hillary, and pretty much thought that she had the most amazing job. And that kind of changed my whole trajectory.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
So needless to say, I thought, what do I need to do to be like the best person in the world to help this position, to help really kind of carry out Marianne McPhail's vision? And so I thought to myself, okay, well, I need to be a veterinarian, have to graduate first. But then I thought that really doing things involving like sports medicine and surgery to like keep our horses performing longer and healthier would really help. And then I also was thinking that, a science background kind of like, Hillary's would be able to help me kind of succeed. And so I went on to do a surgery residency, and I also became boarded in sports medicine and rehab. But I did a master's in osteoarthritis, and a
Wow.
PhD in endocrine disease. So you'll probably hear a little bit later in this talk.
Yes,
I really want to
that
talk
makes
how they
sense.
come together.
Yes, they do. That's pretty
Mhm.
cool.
So yeah, so I also love teaching. And so I have a few other things where I kind of went to school a little bit longer to figure out how to be the best teacher, because I really think that research is only as good as I can communicate it to others. And so really, I wanted to be the whole package to really do the research and get it out to all of you in the horse world so we can put it into good use.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for
I love
everything
that. Yeah.
that you do. I have a question. What are some early or commonly missed signs that a horse's endocrine or metabolic health may be impacting their training, recovery, or their soundness?
Good question. Good question. There's lots of answers to
Yeah.
that. So, a few things. So, kind of some of the early things we want to look for in the two major conditions are so if you're talking about a horse that has PPID or Cushing's, pituitary pars intermediate dysfunction, that's typically something that happens when the horses reach about 15 years of age. 20% of horses start to develop this benign tuner in their brain. And some of the early signs you see may just be like irregular sweating after working. Like you're like, why we didn't work that hard? Why do we have weird sweat patches in weird places? Or it may be like, wow, we've been working really hard on, building our top line, and why is it such a struggle to maintain the top line or keep the top line, even though we've been doing all the right exercises with the trainers ourselves to like kind of keep that happening. So those are kind of some of the two subtle things that I think people see first on that end of the spectrum. Sometimes, actually, for me with my mare, it was a little bit of looking at the top line should be really much better for, she's schooling pre-St. George I1 at that time. Like it should be better. And then I also was like, why is her coat maybe a little bit heavier than I would thinking it would be this time of year? Why is it already September and we look like it's more like December? So those are some of the subtle things that happen earlier on. And so the goal would be that you would kind of do things to approach fixing that sooner. So that's kind of from the PPID spectrum for those early kind of warning signs. For EMS or equine metabolic syndrome or insulin dysregulation, some of the signs you might see in those horses are, wait a minute, we're in like a good bit of work and exercise. And why is my horse carrying a little bit extra weight? And, why maybe is it seem to be in the crest area or by the rump or by the shoulders? We are working really hard. What's going on? I think the diet is appropriate for the level of work. Or it could be why, we have arthritis happening in maybe like a younger horse or younger horse that you wouldn't quite expect it in. So some of those signs could be what we worry about from the equine metabolic syndrome front. Does that make sense, Megan? Those are some of the early warning signs that really would kind of be like, what else is in play here? Is there something else going on?
No, that makes total sense. And I also have another question because I feel like I see Cushing's a lot more than I did. And is that because we just weren't aware of it?
Great, Megan. There's a lot to unpack there kind of in that statement. So there's a few things when we're thinking about, Cushing's and insulin dysregulation. Kind of those are two actually separate metabolic diseases. And so when we're worried about like sugars and starches, that's really more EMS. Now, some PPID horses can also have EMS, but horses that have metabolic syndrome don't have to have Cushing's, okay? So I wanted to be really clear because that's really a confusing point for a lot of people that these are like two different syndromes. And so they can happen together, but they can happen separately. So when we're talking about kind of awareness for Cushing's or PPID, I think what we're seeing is, which is a good thing, is that a lot of our competition horses are living longer and are athletically successful and athletically competing longer into their careers. And so we're starting to see more horses between 15 and like 22 that are really still out there and doing all the things. And we have owners that are interested in keeping them going, and healthy and happy for as long as they want to and can. So I think that we have kind of a greater focus now on kind of testing and understanding that there's ramifications to not treating a horse that has metabolic disease or Cushing's when they have it. So, if we don't treat a horse that has Cushing's, and or EMS, we do worry about laminitis, but we know with PPID in general, we also worry about proximal suspensory disease, DSLD, where we have those dropped fetlocks. So I think a lot of it comes from better awareness, and the fact that our horses are just working longer into their lives.
Yeah. And that makes sense. So you talked about in your lecture, and I'm absolutely going to butcher the name of it, but the ergoflinix. I've had a couple horses. Can we explain that drug? Because that's a pretty new drug,
Okay.
right? But it's been successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's kind of been like an amazing contribution. So when we're talking about horses that have metabolic syndrome or insulin dysregulation or insulin regulation issues, one of the things we do and we care about is bringing those insulin levels down. So insulin is the hormone in the blood that helps take like the blood sugar and put it into the muscles and tissues for use. And in some horses, that becomes really high. Either because their tissues need more insulin to get the sugar into their tissues, or because after they eat, their gut release hormones that tell the pancreas release a lot more insulin than I need. And so what the ertugliflozin does is actually help the kidneys like get rid of more sugar and glucose. And so if your glucose and sugar levels are lower, we actually have consequent like lower of insulin. Okay. And why we care about lowering insulin, why that's so key is because high levels of insulin can lead to laminitis and some of these other probably conditions in horses, which are bad. And so ertugliflozin is, or I guess all the flozins, are fancily called SGLT2 inhibitors, and that's just how they act. They actually make the horses pee out the sugar, pee out the glucose, and lower their insulin. And the cool thing about them is they're fast. Like within 24 hours, you can have drops and decreases in your insulin concentrations. And they don't at this time seem to have really a lot of negative effects on the horse otherwise. We've seen some studies now that have reported like kind of following horses after being on the flozins for 2 years. And kind of one of the biggest side effects they see is that horses will drop weight. And sometimes that's actually really good for them. Dropping the weight helps them be more sensitive to insulin and gets them in better shape. But sometimes they've gotten a little too skinny. But most of the time, by 2 years, horses are back to where they started at or at a good weight for them.
That did happen to one of our horses. She came in a little bit fat, a little bit hard, and she'd been on it at her other farm, and then she came in for training, and we did notice that. So we brought her that back in, and I was like, whoa, way over my pay grade here. And we ended up dropping it. We kept her on it, but just dropped the levels. But it really helped her. And both the horses that I've used it with have also been on insulin wise as another. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So insulin wise is actually a product that I had done some research on and have a published paper on. And so essentially the company's vice president, now owner at the time, said, hey, we really want to do some science on our product to see if it's really going to help horses and if it's actually doing what it says it does. So as many of you know, there's a lot of supplements that are out there that don't actually have kind of any medical testing on them to see if they actually work. And people just say, oh, they work because they should. So I said, sure. And I will say I had a great deal of skepticism about the supplement and this product just before really learning about it and before doing the study. And so I said, sure. I took my 15 hardest to manage endocrine disease horses, EMS horses that were so fat that would never lose weight, no matter what we did, lived on air. And so essentially we tested them with an oral sugar test, which I can talk about later, and then put them on 6 weeks of insulin wise, and then tested that at the end. And what we saw is that a good number of those horses, a significant number of those horses actually had their insulins drop as tested by that oral sugar test. So they went from an area where their insulins were getting high and into scary levels back down to within normal parameters for that test. And so for me, that was really informative and potentially, like I said, for long-term use, a really good option for some of these horses. Where the flozins, ideally we want to kind of get them off of them within 3 months after we make exercise and diet changes. Insulin-wise is something horses could be on long-term and be safely on it long-term. So there are a number of horses, sometimes a small number, that don't respond, but I tell most of my veterinarians that are asking me about it, I say, okay, start it, test them, start it, 6 weeks of product test at the end. If you're seeing improvements, fantastic, keep going. If you're not, okay, let's try something else. Maybe it is moving on to the Flozins. But yeah, definitely some good stuff there.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. Well, I also want to say, they sponsor our show as well, Kentucky Performance Products, but you had talked a lot about it in your talk in Lexington, and it's a product that I also have used with those horses and had really, really good success with them. So as you're working with these horses, Megan and I being the trainers that come in or your owners, what are some things like number one, what are signs? And then where do you go once you kind of think like, okay, my horse potentially is metabolic? Like kind of walk us through even the basic of that. So owners understand that.
I'll do kind of
Perfect.
both kind of together, like walking you through it.
Okay.
So for PPID, the clinical signs that people see are loss of top line, irregular sweating, and like a extra hairy coat. You can also have a bunch of recurrent dental or respiratory infections because these horses have high levels of
Oh.
circulating steroids in their body and cortisol,
Oh.
so they're stressed. For EMS, clinical signs we see is sometimes adiposity, which is fat, like local fat, or generally their horses are overweight, as kind of the main thing. And we can also have laminitis appearing in worse instances of that. So testing wise, for our PPID horses, what we kind of are recommending now is between like I would say between like July and December, we're pretty much looking at our baseline ACTH levels. So that's a hormone that will go up high if a horse has Cushing's. If it's other times a year in between that, and your horse is kind of like, we think we might have it, but we're not sure, we'll actually do a what we call a TRH stim test. We'll actually draw blood, give a hormone, and then measure ACTH 10 minutes after giving it. And if it goes up, we have kind of like levels that are what we expected to go up in response to that hormone. And if it goes up a whole bunch, again, we know they have Cushing's. For the oral sugar test, and this is the one that I got a lot of gasps in the audience at when we talked about it. If you just do a fasting baseline insulin in the blood, if it's high, okay, you know the horse has a problem. But if it's low, you don't actually know anything because it's really not a sensitive test. So I gave the example that if you had 100 horses and 25 of them really had EMS ID, just doing a fasting blood test would only find one horse. So you'd miss like 24 horses that really had the problem, which is bad, right? So in response to that, not me, but colleagues have developed an oral sugar test where we actually give the horses like Caro syrup, like the really super sweet cooking Caro syrup. I know it's kind of,
Yep.
it's nasty by itself. Horses actually, most of them really love it
I was
though.
gonna say, they probably love it.
Oh, yes, they do. Like I said, I have some of the Arabians that like will literally see me with the syringe and come running to me.
I feel you kids. That's like me at the Christmas table. Like, oh,
Yes.
buddy.
Tis the season, right?
Yeah.
So, and so we'll give them the sugar, and then we measure blood insulin at 60 and 90 minutes later, and it should be below 45 micro-IUs per mil. If it's not, we worry about it. So that's kind of like clinical signs and testing. Do you want me just to finish out doing a quick thing on treatment stuff?
Sure. Yeah.
So, have you heard of Presend or Pergolide?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So Presend or Pergolide is the treatment for PPID. And so it's basically like the mainstay of treatment for PPID. Some horses refuse to eat the pills. It's a once-a-day tablet.
Yep.
There
I've
is
had
an
that.
injectable. Yeah, you see, people we try all different tricks, but at some
Oh, yeah.
point, sometimes they totally refuse. And
And they
there's a
do
new
that.
like injectable cabergoline that is somewhat successful or can potentially be successful, but we really would love them to all take that Pergolide pill.
Yeah.
So on top of that, if they've lost muscle and things like that, we do need to do rehab exercises to build up the top line stuff. So all those core stretches and carrot stretches are really great for those horses, plus some of our resistance band work and all those things. For EMS or insulin dysregulation, what we really want to do is work diet and exercise together, ideally first line mainstay of treatment. So we want to bring our non-structural carbohydrates in their diet, so that's kind of like the starches, down to less than 10%, like in their total diet and in their hay, okay? So that's the main thing. So that means cutting out a lot of grains,
Mhm.
putting them on like
Mm.
kind of low protein ration balancers, and vitamin and mineral mixes, and checking the hay to make sure it's at a safe level. It also might mean taking them off pasture or putting a muzzle on them if they're at pasture, which can be tough. And then exercise is, really great for these guys because it helps build up the muscle. And the more muscle they have, the better they use their glucose and insulin. So whatever we can do, those are the top two things we should do for those horses. But
Mm.
like we kind of alluded to earlier, if we're still doing all those things and having trouble, starting them on insulin wise would be my next step typically. And then if even beyond that, we're still having difficulties, or if they actually have an active bout of laminitis, I start them on Flozins. And that kind of would be really key for like you all as horse owners to like push your or tell or ask your vets if your horse is having an active laminitic event, be like, hey, can we start some Flozins? Because it brings the insulins down fast. And this is a little bit newer piece of information. And so sometimes I think as veterinarians, it helps if clients push us a little bit because you all know the science or hearing the science, and can help everyone work as a team to help your horse get through that event.
Yeah, and I think too, I have had literally owners where the vet says, you can't really, put the horse on pasture or, and then she's like, well, what about his cookies? And I was like,
Oh,
oh, you gotta listen to the vet here. You gotta listen to the vet. So,
mm.
compliance. Can you just talk a little bit about how important compliance is?
We love our creatures, but we don't want to get to the point where we're like loving them to death. So there are definitely low sugar treats on the market that are available so that they can still get their cookies. It's just a slightly different version cookie than the molasses filled ones that other horses get. And then, doing things where they can kind of like mimic their natural grazing, like slow, like small hay net, like so hay nets that have really small openings so that it takes them longer to eat the hay that they have in front of them, can also help them really mimic their natural behaviors where they're grazing most of the day or eating most of the day. So those things I really kind of love to do for our creatures because honestly, some of these horses are really, really sensitive. And if you kind of perturb them or push them over a little bit through your cookies or your treats, like it can really cause an issue. Like on the horse farm now, unfortunately, with their Arabians, certain breeds are really predisposed to EMSID, and Arabians are one of them. I'll say our warm bloods are actually 23% of the warm blood population looks like it has issues with insulin dysregulation too. So there's also an important note there for our dressage horses.
Interesting. Yeah, for sure.
But really thinking about like, on the Raven farm, we've say now like no treats because some of the horses have issues and some don't, but it's really hard for, people visiting the farm to know who can get what. So really with those breeds, as well as, I guess, do you do any training on either pre-breeds, Lusitanos, Andalusians, Halflingers?
I
Yes,
do.
the
Yep.
the non-compliant owner, in which we now laugh about, she loves her PREs. So yes, it's a PRE. Both the
Okay.
two horses that we had some compliance issues with.
Perfect. So unfortunately, the PREs and the Halflingers and the Lusitanos and Aleutians, all those, they're also breeds that are more at risk for developing equine metabolic syndrome and insulin dysregulation. So those are, ones where we have to really be careful and, like I said, really try and find alternative ways to bond and or make your horse happy. So whether it's extra currying or those low sugar treats, other options like that really work best.
I love it when you say no treats.
Okay, we can just say no treats. I can say
Yeah.
no treat. You can say Dr. Manfredi said no
say
treats.
no.
Yes.
He does like those low sugars. Those have worked well, and actually they have become a favorite in the barn. Everybody likes those, so that's really if we have any treats, those are the ones that we use, and it seems to work fine.
So I'm not sure. I do want to ask this question, but I'm not sure I want to know the answer. But from your perspective, how often do you see performance issues or subtle lameness that is actually rooted in metabolic or endocrine imbalance rather than a primary orthopedic injury?
So I think we're just starting to like actually scratch the surface with that, Megan. So like a lot, osteoarthritis is a really complicated process, which has kind of many levels to it. But we do know a few things. So horses that are more overweight, tend to have and develop osteoarthritis sooner and have more issues with it clinically. We do know, like some of my work has shown that horses that have metabolic syndrome are more prone to hind limb lameness than horses that don't. And then actually some kind of really hot off the presses work that we're kind of hoping to submit the paper in the next month or two has shown that horses that have equine metabolic syndrome um, and have osteoarthritis, the synovial fluid, so the joint fluid that's bathing the tissues, actually has a different makeup or components to it as compared to horses that don't have metabolic syndrome that do have our osteoarthritis. Does that make sense? So that what's in the joint fluid is different, which might mean we need to treat them differently. And so we're really trying to elucidate how much of a risk factor, having EMS is on arthritis. And I think, between myself and some of our friends down at NC State, and as well as at Penn, we're really trying to hammer down on how much worse can things get if you have EMS NOA versus just osteoarthritis.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So cool. Oh my gosh. Dr. Jane, we could literally keep you on forever because you're so cool. So we have to have you back because you're doing all kinds of other amazing, just amazing things. And you did another talk about Piaf that was fascinating and the judges program. So we are going to have you back. I hope this is not going to be your only time here with us.
No, it's not. So some of the work in our lab is, if you do have a horse that does have osteoarthritis, a common treatment in the past has been injecting that joint with steroids, because it's very effective at making horses comfortable.
Yes.
But my recent work, as well as myself and my grad student, Dr. Brooke Boger, as well as a collaborator, Dr. Amy Colbath at Cornell, has shown that in horses that have EMS ID, if you inject their joints with steroids, their systemic insulin actually goes up into scary high levels that could trigger a laminitic event. So that was particularly a type of steroid called triamcinolone acetonide, but it is one of the more commonly used steroids. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone who did a lot of work on that project over basically 2 years, because, we now know that if your horse has EMS ID and they have arthritis, if you want to put something into the joint, it's really supportive of using something like PRP, IRAP, a biologic prostride, something that's not a steroid to really keep those horses safer longer.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because that actually happened to a friend of mine and it was awful. So
I'm sorry.
I'm really glad you said that. Yeah,
Right.
That's really important. Talk to your vet. As always, again, you have such great information. How can our listeners find your research, find out about your program, etc.?
So a few different ways. So some of my work will be coming out on USDF Connection and some articles, so you can read about more of the stuff there. And so the other things are you can follow me on Facebook at Jane M. Manfredi or at MSU Encore Lab. You can also find me on Instagram, Jane Manfredi, as well. And so all of those things are there. I hope to be talking at more USDF conventions too. And then I also often write or contribute to articles in many other magazines as well. But really, I try to post the up and coming things mainly on the Facebook pages. And again, USDF Connection will be a really great resource going forward. So you can hear about some of the stuff we're doing, particularly we're going to be soon publishing and hopefully sharing some things in the Piaf, like I talked about at convention. And so I hope in a future talk we can come back and look at kind of what goes into the biomechanics of the Piaf and what contributes to getting higher scores in the Piaf as we go forward.
It was fascinating. It was so cool. Megan and I were just sitting there oh my goodness. So we would love to have you back on again for that as well. So thank you so much for your time tonight and happy holidays.
Get ready for fall with Chewy. From hoof boots and saddlebags for golden hour adventures to coolers and clippers for crisp weather workouts, you'll find everything your horse needs this season. Support their health through pasture changes with vitamin E and ration balancers. Or care for a metabolic horse with targeted supplements, prescriptions, and even ice boots to soothe soreness. And if your horse is feeling a little too fresh in the fall air, calming supplements are just a click away. With trusted brands you know and fast, free shipping on all orders over $49, Chewy makes it easy to keep your horse comfortable and cared for. For seasonal must-haves, for the brands you trust. For fast delivery, there's Chewy. Shop now at chewy.com/equine.
Well, Megan, I have to be honest. I love my Chewy. I have actually, if Chewy really looked at my order, they would be shocked. I have been kind of stacking, like getting ready for my cats because you know how much I love my cats.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to see the cats, and which is perfect. So, so very, very grateful because I have lots of cat things and cat treats and bowls and all kinds of stuff. So the amount of Chewy boxes that have come, and I use their Black Friday sale to stock up on everything, and we're ready. We're ready to rumble with the cats. So thank you to Chewy as always, and they're great for holidays because they're really fast. Well, back by popular demand and after his first USDF presidential convention, Kevin Reinig, welcome back to the show.
Yes, thank you. It's good to be back. And
I
yes,
know.
thank
Well,
you.
we had so much fun with you in Lexington, and
Yeah.
we wanted to just kind of get your rundown and your feeling on convention. So we'll let you take it away.
Yeah. Well, once we finally arrived, as everybody knows who tried to travel to Kentucky, there was lots of travel
Well,
delays everywhere. But I
to
got
be
in.
fair, I think there was problems all over the country, right? Not just Lexington, just.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, for sure. Actually, I don't think the problem was even in Lexington necessarily. I think it was more in the northeast,
Yeah.
but it did create delays through all the major hubs. And so I got into Lexington really, really early Tuesday morning. I was supposed to get in Monday night, but anyway, we got in. I got in there about 1:45 Tuesday morning,
Whoa.
and then I took a little nap, and
I
then
bet.
went down to the USDF office to work on some things for the convention and have a meeting with Stefan Hinch, our executive director, and then we went over and had a meeting over at USEF with Bill Maroney and some of the powers that be over at USEF. So right off the bat, just hit the ground running, getting to work for the organization. So yeah, it was really good. Of course, the staff works really hard to put
Yeah.
together any of these big events that we do, but especially convention. So it's really nice for us to, well, for me anyway, to have the convention there in Lexington and be able to go visit the office and things like that. And so it works really well for the staff um, and everybody.
Yeah,
And
I think so,
but
for
I
sure.
thought convention went really well. We had a lot of really good meetings. It's always nice for us to get together in person and meet. On the committees that I sit on sport horse committee. We're kind of we're talking about a new award. I can't really. We're still in the formative.
Sure.
It's in the idea stages, but we had a really good time. Really productive time talking about that and some of the things that. It's kind of fun to develop these new awards and new programs, new educational opportunities, and things like that. So, but
And
yeah,
that's
had a
kind of something with the convention too that it's maybe a little bit confusing is there's a USEF component and there's a USDF component, right? Because I think sometimes people that gets confusing.
Well, yes. So we do host. Well, I don't necessarily want to say we host it. The
Right.
We team up with USEF and we hold the Dressage Sport Committee meeting at the convention. So
Yes.
we have a couple of meetings there, and that's not only is it one of our face-to-face meetings for USDF, it's also one of our face-to-face meetings for USEF.
Yep.
So yeah, so we have blocked out times during the convention for the Dressage Sport Committee for USEF, which I also sit on that. And that's, also a really good and productive time for us to get together
Yeah. Because I'm on
there.
the rules working group. Same thing. We have
Yeah.
the in-person, which is great. It's very helpful to sit in a room and hash out. We do a lot of tech. We look at a lot of tech and equipment, and that's really helpful
hmm
when we're all together.
Yeah.
So that
So
happens
yeah,
early in the
so
week, right? That's kind of earlier in the week that
yeah, so
happens.
with Wednesday we started. Let me see here. We start Wednesday and we have our closed meeting. So a lot of the licensed officials, the judges committee, the L program, a lot of those meetings will take place during the day on Wednesday. Yeah, sorry, I got to think back and get
I
my
know, me
calendar
too. I
all
was like,
straight.
what day was it
Yeah.
at? Yeah.
So
Well,
that all takes place on Wednesday, and then the management committee of the USDF meets Wednesday night. Uh, we usually get together and have dinner and then have a meeting. And so the management committee is made up of all the executive officers of the executive board. So myself, the president, the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, and then also there is a representative from the regional directors. So they choose. The regional representative serves. I can't remember. It's a 2 or 3 year term, and that is selected by the regional directors to represent the regions, represent the membership on the management committee. So we had our management committee meeting, and then the next morning we have the executive board meeting. So and
So
yeah,
Kevin,
we
just
had
a question for you, because I've
yes,
heard a lot of people talk about like all the meetings are closed. Can you
yeah,
kind of talk about that? Because yeah, I mean, I think it's when you're in the closed meetings, you kind of understand why they're closed, but
yeah.
I see both sides of that. Can you kind of address that a little bit?
So there's close in the closed meetings, like for example, I'll give you the example of the sport horse committee. We talked about, kicking around the idea of a new award that we want to, some new recognitions that we want to do for the sport horse committee. So these ideas are all formed during the closed meetings. We take various inputs or whatever it is, or where there's a need or some area that we want to recognize. And so, all that criteria, what's going to shape that program takes place in the closed meetings. And then before the convention, leading up to the convention, we have, and this all started during COVID when we had the virtual meetings. So we do hold open virtual meetings
Hmm.
via Zoom, and all the memberships invited to join these to talk about the committees. And basically, the committee chairs and the committee members will give reports to the membership about what the committee does, what its mission statement is, what it's currently working on. And then they also open up the floor to question and answer and things like that. When we moved forward from the COVID, from the 2 years of virtual conventions that we did, we maintained the open virtual meetings and really just earmarked the time at the convention for the closed meetings. And then instead of having individual closed meetings, instead of having a regional championship open meeting, excuse me, instead of having individual open meetings, we then opened up the council meetings. So we have the activities council, the technical council, and the administrative council, and all the committees that fall underneath those councils are opened up in one big forum, with the idea behind it that we could kind of cross-pollinate between the committees. The committees
Yeah.
can share information. Members can
Yeah.
come in and see, how the committees all work, interrelate underneath the council and
Yeah.
things like that. That was the idea.
Got it. But there is a
So
way. I think that's what's really important to know. Like there is a way, there is time that some of the meetings need to be closed, and I can understand because like
correct.
adding a new award, if I just my little that I know about governance is it sounds great, but like but then it's like what will that cost? How many people? Like there are a lot of logistical questions that sort of have to be run down with that, which I didn't realize before
Yeah.
I sat in some of those meetings. And you're like, oh, this is way more complicated than it
Yeah.
sounds on the surface.
No, there's tons of tons of different things that have to be
Yeah.
considered. It's
Yeah.
interesting. I'll compare it to a horse show. Okay, say you're going to a horse show. The perspective of the horse show from the management side is completely different from
Yes.
the competitor side. And the
Yeah.
competitor, most likely, unless they spend a lot of time working at a show, on the management side, has no idea what it takes to actually make that trip down center line happen. So
Right. It's true. Yeah. Unless you've worked in that show office, you have zero
yeah,
idea.
there's so many things going on behind the scenes to make that trip down center line happen. Well, it's the same thing with the governance. There's so many things, going on behind the scenes. I mean, there's so many things that go on on the
Yeah.
on the staff level
Yeah.
that that we have to try to, understand. We just float out an idea, and the staff like, okay, well, we'll that into a reality. So,
We'll make it happen. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
um,
And the thing I love, I just wanted to add that I'm not sure who does it because I'm a competitor. I just
Hmm.
show up and enjoy the convention. Is that you have all these educational sessions. For instance,
Yeah.
we just had Dr. Jane Manfred. You also
Hmm.
hosted horse welfare. I think it was a
Hmm.
safe sport.
Yes.
Which was
Yeah.
wonderful to just communicate and learn more about. So I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And it's interesting that you bring that up because about the animal welfare, welfare. It's a major topic of discussion right now, and a big portion of my welcome or my report to the Board of Governors was made up of talking about, welfare of the horse and how, what's that, you know, we need to educate everybody about that and about welfare of the horse and social license to operate and that we are putting our best foot forward, that people who don't know anything about the sport can come in and see that we are as dressage riders and as trainers and as competitors, that we are building a respectful collaborative relationship with our horse, that we're not just out there forcing them
Yeah.
or put pressuring them to do something they don't want to do. We're trying to create an understanding and a collaboration with them, with the horses, and
Yeah. I know those were great talks. I mean, they're and that's part of convention too. And I think one of the things is the people that speak are amazing and really bring incredible knowledge along with being able to just sit. Like I happen to be sitting in front of Dr. Jane Manfredi, and
Mhm.
things like coming on the podcast but talking about her talk and like, oh, I have a horse. And I think that that's so important because that's been a big talk, right, about moving forward, is what will happen with convention moving forward.
Yes. Yeah. So one of the big topics of convention was the convention itself. And I think,
Yeah.
as I said when I was visited the podcast before convention, that was the topic. And we got a ton of great feedback, I have to say. And I think when people saw that on the agenda, they people
Yes.
that go to convention are passionate. They're passionate about the sport. They're passionate about going to convention, and they're passionate about being involved in the governance. And I will say the sport of dressage, USDF, and the way it's set up, and the sport of dressage, the members, believe it or not, have a lot of say and
Yes.
have a lot of access to the governance and have a lot of control over what we do. Um, so the board of governors, just to give a quick rundown, the board of governors is made up of two sections. There's the participating member delegates, and then there's the GMO, the general member organization delegates. So GMOs are the local dressage clubs that are general member organizations underneath the USDF umbrella. So, like, I came up in governance uh, on the board of the California Dressage Society, which is a GMO of USDF. So when I attended convention, I was always a GM delegate, a delegate from the GMO. But we also have other representatives that are PM delegates, and those are elected by the membership within that region. So they are PM delegates and regional representatives, um, uh,
Yeah.
to the
And
board of
that's
governors.
regional. Yeah,
And so those,
that's what I do. And
yeah,
Region 2, we have a great, I got to shout out to Molly Fine. She's the best. She organizes. And once you know Molly Fine, when you see she's calling, it's a joke. You
yeah.
really answer and she's gonna be after you. And I appreciate that because she reminds you, and then she reminds you to get your paperwork in. So I hope every region has a Molly because Molly's amazing and she makes sure our region is on it. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And some of the regions are very active and bring their full quota of delegates to the convention, and others, don't don't have so many, have so
Hmm.
many people available already to step up and fill those roles. So, like, for example, from Region 7, I think we can send 11 delegates or something like that. And
Wow.
I think we
Yeah.
probably had like 4 or 5.
Oh,
So
okay.
those 4 or 5 delegates, what happens is they redistribute all the votes
Yeah, they have a
that
lot of
would go
votes.
across the 11 delegates, and they get distributed across the delegates that are there. So,
Yeah.
so the votes are still get cast, and they're still, representing the region there. But you know, all the regions have, different amounts of participation, and on a local level, you might have certain areas that have a higher concentration of people that are ready to, step up and be active and get involved, and in other regions, it's maybe a little bit more sparse or whatever the reasons, and they just don't have that, ready supply of people that are in a position to take the time to come to convention and stuff. So.
Yeah.
But we appreciate everybody that does come. So as far as talking about the convention moving forward, we did have an open forum. We got a lot of great feedback. And really it was just an opportunity for us on the executive board to hear the board of governors about their thoughts about the convention and, some of the challenges, and let them know about some of the challenges that we're facing with the convention.
And there was some riding of plastic horses that happened.
There was, yes. At
Quite
one of
a
these
social
events,
event. If anybody saw, yeah,
there was some stick horse, there was some quadrilles and some pas de deux, and George's horse, George Williams, his horse was acting up and was like, kicking everybody, while sticking, I guess, because it's a stick horse, it was sticking everybody. So they had to, we had to call the TD over. I think Lisa Greta had to get involved, and but just another day at the horse show. But just. So no, it was a lot of fun. And it's these kind of activities that, bring everybody together and everybody has a really good time.
And you can't forget the gala.
And the awards. Yeah.
That is such an amazing, when you win, when you finally earn your bronze, your silver, your gold, you get recognized, and it's such a wonderful event, and to meet everybody and to celebrate all of our hard work. I think anyone who earns an award should definitely go once in their lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah, it's it's really fun, and that's one of the best pleasures for me as far as in my role is being able to present awards at the annual gala. I got to do it a little bit as the VP. And I'm sorry?
You smiled for hours. You had to be tired.
Well, it's easy to smile when when you're able to appreciate everybody's achievements with them. So no, that was a lot of fun. So so some of the challenges that we face are, the cost of the convention. Costs have really skyrocketed since COVID. And I got the opportunity to talk to David O'Connor. He's the chief of sport at USEF, and he said, many other affiliates are experiencing the same challenges, right? USEA, USHJA, they're all experiencing the same challenges with their annual meetings. It's really expensive to go. Hotels and meeting spaces, the cost, the cost for those and the cost for food and the cost for all the things have just gone up substantially. The cost to travel is substantial. Holding it, as we know, going to Lexington, can be challenging to travel there. As far as flying in, it's the cheapest for the organization as far as the cost for our staff and the cost to put it on. The hotel costs are relatively low compared to other places that we go or have gone, and our access to education and things like that is pretty readily available within a close proximity to Kentucky.
Right, in Lexington,
considering all the horse industry that's happening there.
Yeah, exactly.
So these are all the challenges that we're facing, and trying to figure out, of course, we don't mind to make an investment into the convention. We feel it's really important, but it has to be a sustainable investment into the convention. So we did spend a lot of time at the Board of Governors getting feedback about what elements they liked about the convention. Definitely one of social events like our stick horse show and the cocktail hours. Those were very highly regarded.
Everyone enjoyed those.
Everybody had a good time there. The education, everybody enjoys the education, and they definitely would like to see more open open meetings, open committee meetings. The open councils are great, but they feel like they got a lot more intimate one-on-one information when they're able to attend the open committee meetings directly. So we did take in all that feedback. I've been getting, I've gotten quite a few emails from people, attendees of the Board of Governors that with good feedback. So we're taking a hard look at it. And it's going to be a slow process. I'll let everybody know that it is going to be a slow process as far as making the change. And what slows it down is the fact that we have to, you know, we have to start booking for 2027 convention now.
Soon.
Like
Yeah, I was going to say soon.
we're gonna have to be booking that soon.
Yeah.
So, so we are taking everybody's feedback, and please be patient, and please definitely send in your feedback. And we're going to be, looking to make changes within our structure, but we definitely want to keep the convention going. We want it to be a positive experience that somebody would look forward to attending, and we're exploring all different kinds of things, teaming it up with some of our other events that we're already doing. We're looking at everything. Like, is this the right time of year? Is this the right format? And all the things. So,
but next year convention will be back in Lexington, right?
Next year Lexington will be back in Lexington. We will be at the Griffin Gate Hotel. Let me look up the dates. I don't have the dates right in front of me, but we will be at the Griffin Gate. The Griffin Gate's very nice.
It's very nice. And it's very close to the office. So I think there'll be more use of the office, which is
We are going to do a tour of the office for sure. Okay, so we did adjust the schedule a little bit, and we are revisiting that. So the dates that it will fall will be on that first weekend in December. But we are exploring reworking the schedule a little bit. So that's going to remain to be seen. But it will fall, for sure over the 4th and 5th of December. So you'd be looking
out. The dates are coming out.
The dates are going to be coming out, exactly.
Okay, that's perfect.
And then one thing that we are going to do for sure is they do a big light display at the horse park, and we are going to get some buses together, and we're going to
It's called Southern Lights, and it's been going on for years. It's really a fun thing to do. Yeah, I'm excited.
If you ever came out to the U.S. Finals while the U.S. Finals was going on, they're usually setting the lights up.
Yeah,
while
they're
we're out there.
Showing.
So we're going to do that tour, and then we're going to come back and have a reception at the USDF office. While I was there, I also talked to USEF, and so I think we're going to do a kind of a joint. The details still have to be fleshed out, and I kind of sprung it on the USDF staff at the Board of Governors. But I did talk to Bill Maroney and David O'Connor and some of the key people over at USEF, and they love the idea of us collaborating on an event, and so we might be doing a little bit of a
because the offices they're
progressive.
basically across the parking lot from each other.
Yeah, it's a long parking lot, but they are across the
but it's a parking lot.
So
it's a significant parking lot for sure.
Yeah, it is. But the USEF building is great, and they have lots of wonderful things on display, like some of our Olympic medals and things from the other disciplines as well. And then the USDF office is fantastic. We have a whole museum dedicated there to the history of the organization, and so get a chance to see the USDF office in action. And we have our little store set up there.
Yeah, there's a shop there. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So Kevin, anything coming on for 2026 that we should kind of keep our ears and eyes open for?
Yeah, so of course we have the Trainers Conference coming up January 19th to the 20th, and that is with Heike Kemmer and Christoph Umbach. Sorry, I got to read my own writing here. I have my notes here. And then and always a good place to go is on the top of the USDF website. Go to the educational resources and opportunities. Okay, so under the judges training and L program, I think we have like five various training opportunities going on under that section in the first quarter alone.
For everyone, right? You don't have to be a
I think some of them are, there's going to be signups, and some of those programs are definitely geared towards judges in their various stages of licensing, but definitely some of those programs are open to all. And definitely some of the L program training programs are good for everybody to take. I know a lot of trainers that have maybe probably really aren't interested in becoming a judge, but really want to know what the judge, get a little bit of a more insight into what the judge is looking for. And that L program is a great place to do
Awesome.
that.
That's super cool. Super cool.
The sport horse committee doesn't have anything on the schedule as of yet, but we are three programs that we really try to put forward in the sport horse committee. I'll give a plug because I'm on that committee.
Yeah.
Is our prospects development forum. I had the opportunity to be a part of the prospects development forum. My wife was actually one of the presenting writers when it was out here in California. That is a fantastic program. That is a program geared towards starting young horses, and, giving them a good start. And we have a variety of faculty members that that do that put on that forum. We usually get together two or three of them to put on that forum. And some of the faculty members are like Willie Arts from DG Bar Ranch, Michael Bragdahl from Hilltop Farm, Scott Hassler is really kind of spearheaded that program.
Love it.
And he was one of our early forum presenters. The other one, and I got a chance to be one of the presenters on this one, was the youth breeder seminar. And the youth breeder seminar is geared to introducing young people to horse, equestrian breeding and working on a breeding farm.
Yeah.
And some of the events were the one that I participated in. I was a presenter at DG Bar, so we talk about everything from managing stallions to managing mares, delivering foals, preparing young horses to go in hand at breed shows, to starting them under saddle. It covers all aspects of things that breeders need to know. One year they did it in Louisiana at Oak Hill Farm, and I believe that was they had a breeding. I want to say it was an Oldenburg inspection, but I'm not 100% sure. But it was one of the breed inspections. So that the whole weekend was themed around the breed inspection. Another they've done a few of them at Hilltop. Which of course is fantastic over there.
Yeah,
and awesome. They learn about managing the stallion. They learned a lot at Hilltop. They learned a lot on the marketing side, believe it or not. They talked about and they came out of that one with a lot of different careers, like IT side, marketing, social media, of promoting your stallions, the offspring, and all things like that. So there was a lot of information there. And in one year they did it at Dressage at Devon, and spent a lot of time going over the breed show there, which is still, I think, the biggest breed show in the country.
Yeah, still I think by far.
Yeah,
it's the biggest breed show. I love that.
So keep an eye out for those. Okay. Definitely it's been a challenge. A lot of these programs, especially under sport horse, struggled, have been struggling to get going again after COVID. And these are all things that I think were great programs that we're really trying to get going again. Another thing that we did, usually more on a local level, is some handling clinics, where we get a couple of handlers together from across the country and put on a clinic to prepare young horses for breed shows. That's a great thing to attend. If you see that come across the schedule, that's a great thing to attend, because even if you have, if you're at a dressage show and you need to hand walk your horse in a kind of electric environment,
absolutely.
A lot of these skills come in handy. I've had people come through I've given a handler's clinic, and I've had people come through and say, my horse is going to be on rehab for the next 6 months, and I have to hand walk them 20 minutes a day. And all these exercises are going to be vital for the both of us to survive that 6 months.
Yes, exactly. For us to be talking at the end of the 6 months.
Yeah. And then the other thing under this sport horse education is sport horse seminars, which are the seminars that we give for educating people about evaluating sport horses. It's the prerequisite for becoming a sport horse judge. And so there's that seminar. And then the other area of it, which is, I know, an area that's near and dear to your guys' hearts, is the instructor training and development program. And these continuing educational opportunities, I think, are fantastic, much like the L program.
Yeah,
there's
keep coming.
For local, I think for local dressage clubs, the information available and the opportunities to put on these training opportunities are
and
fantastic.
Megan knows how to do it. If anybody wants to know, Megan's doing them, so she knows what to do.
I will help anyone.
Yeah, she will help you.
I will help you. It is amazing. I highly, highly recommend it. It's a lot of work, but well worth it.
Yeah.
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 And again, this all lends to education about, this the underlying theme of this and the thread that's going to be going through all of these programs. It is somewhat currently, but even more so moving forward is, welfare of the horse and the best practices for training up your horse and presenting your horse and demonstrating that we are putting the welfare of the horse as in the forefront of what we're doing and what we want to present. Real quickly, the Dressage Foundation was, of course,
yes,
there representing their organization at the convention. And Region 8, a group of anonymous donors from Region 8 put forth a challenge that they would match any donations made to the USDF Programs Support Fund up to $12,000.
Yeah, it was incredible.
So that challenge, so a lot of the other regions, regional directors pose that challenge to their regions. And so nearly 27,000, and I called Jenny today to get confirmation on all this. Nearly 27,000 was raised and donated towards the USDF Educational Programs Fund. So they maxed out the
cool.
matching amount. So they got the full 12,000 from the Region 8 donors, which is included in that 27,000. A couple other, Noah Ratner at Region 6 and Ann Sheshko at Region 4. I think they did some sort of matching thing or matching donation for their region too.
Yeah.
As well for their regions as well. So that was very exciting news. We're very, that's a great new program that the Dressage Foundation is getting going in conjunction with USDF, and these are funds that we're trying to make available to put on these educational programs, and we're trying to fund that, grow that fund, and so this was a major step.
That was going to say
the right direction.
Oh, well, Kevin, as always, this is such great information, and this is such a good rundown for everyone that things really do happen at convention. It's really important. Plus, all the cool people you get to truly meet, and their coffee breaks, and there's parties and things that go on that are really important. So, thank you so much for the rundown. If anybody has any questions for you, or just in general, how can they find you online?
Yep, they can always, the best way is always email me at president@usdf.org. That's the best way.
I love that. I love it. Well, Kevin, we hope you have a very happy holidays. You get at least a little bit of rest, and maybe don't check that email for a day or two if you can. Maybe give them a rest, everybody. Just right there at Christmas Eve and Christmas.
It's no problem. I'm here to serve, and I'm happy to. I look forward to hearing from everybody.
For first-time horse owners and new riders just starting out, finding the information and support you need can be challenging. That's why Equine Network has partnered with Sentinel Feed to bring you My New Horse, a place where equestrians just getting into horse ownership or riding will find the resources and community they need at precisely their stage of the equine journey. From important horse-keeping information and how-to videos to social media communities and more, My New Horse is your one-stop shop for riders of all levels and disciplines who are eager to find easy-to-understand horse care information and guidance. Start your horse ownership journey today. Visit mynewhorse.com.
Well, Megan, we have had so much fun with this book club, and thank you for everybody for embracing it. We had what I could count was 50 people at our talk at convention, and we were the last ones before the banquet. So people that stayed had to kind of hustle to get ready for dinner. And gosh, we were so happy to see everybody, and it really makes us this program really makes us smile, doesn't it?
It sure does, and the conversation was amazing. And I have to kudos to Beth Baumert. It was just so much fun to have great conversation about the book. And I'm super excited about 2026. Aren't you?
Yes. So we have some great books. We're going to announce them. They're on the website. So the first book is How to Ride the Horse You Thought You Bought by Anne Buchanan.
The second one is Stable Core Training by Joyce Kramer.
Then we have The Imperfect Ride by Andrea Waldo.
And the last one is Fur Mama by Diana DuPont.
Yeah, so we're really thrilled. Now, I hope everyone is reading. I have to be honest, I haven't had a chance to start this book yet. I think you've started it, Megan, but our last book, it's through December, everybody, so give me grace. But it's Begin and Begin Again by Denny Emerson. And I'm really actually looking forward. This is going to be when I'm in Florida and have some quiet time to read this book, but really looking forward to it as we move forward.
I am too. And is the webinar January 7th?
Yes, January 7th, we have the webinar. So
Okay.
we're going to do a webinar. We'll get to chat with Denny Emerson, just like we've been doing. So I hope everybody enjoys that. So lots of good stuff. Megan, I hope you have the best holiday and you guys get some rest and then a very uneventful, which we need, drive to California.
That's what we need. And you're going to have a great sunny on the beach holiday. I can't wait to hear about it. I'm a little bit jealous.
Winston does love the beach. That is like a fave for him. And so, yeah, we get, and it's so great when Trav's there and they get to play on the beach. It's a lot of fun. So we wish everyone a very happy holidays. Thank you to everyone that listens to the show. You guys mean so much to us. And wow, we have so many fun things happening in 2026. We're really ready. And we hope you and your whole family have wonderful holidays for everyone. If you've not subscribed yet, do it now. Just search Dressage Radio Show on your favorite podcast player. You can join the fun and supportive community at Horse Radio Network Auditors on Patreon. You'll get the behind the scenes insight, special offers, and the opportunity to participate in Horse Radio Network podcasts. Go to patreon.com/Horse Radio Network. The Dressage Radio Show Facebook is the Dressage Radio Show. And my website is maplecrestfarmky.com. And my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
And my website is lindenhoff.com. And my email is lindenhoffllc@gmail.com. We'd like to thank our friends and show sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products and Chewy. Keep on kicking on until the next show. Talk to you soon.